I'm Nadine Mochette, and I'm so happy to be part of this year's Bookworm Week. So, this is the book I'm reading now. It's called Forgiving the Unforgivable by David Stu. And I'm not yet finished reading this book, but I chose this book many years ago. I decided to buy this book because I was part of a course that was about reflection, about checking our hearts, also checking about how we manage our relationships. And the course started with forgiveness and checking whether we need to deal with some unforgiveness in our hearts. And so we bought this book, all the members of the course bought this book, but I didn't get a chance to read it. So it's like maybe 3 or 4 years old now. But this year, in fact, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I decided I'm going to start reading this book. And I think it's quite a practical one. Now, the aim of the book, according to the writer, is on the back is the blurb. The blurb tells us a little bit about the book and what's expected inside, or the aim of the contents of the book. So on this blurb, I thought it was quite accurate and the blurb attracted me. So I decided I'm going to read this book because it says that the book will give us some ideas for how to clear up some misconceptions about forgiveness and compassionately guide us along the way to freeing ourselves and to apply biblical teachings that will help us to forgive. Now, this part was really attractive to me because I'm a Christian and I want to live in a way that's in line with Bible teachings. So then I started reading the book and I realized it's very practical. And so, for example, I'm just in chapter 2. So I'll just tell you about something that I found interesting in that chapter. Actually, chapter 1 is quite interesting. And one of the questions that is asked in chapter 1 for us to reflect on is, maybe you can see it. The question is, why is something unforgivable? And this one is about our values. We have almost hierarchy or order of things that are most important to us, things that we treasure. And so if someone breaks something that is precious to us, if someone hurts our deepest feelings or breaks our trust, for example, or takes a life, there are things in our hearts that we value so much that we would never release that person from that hurt or the knowledge that they hurt us. So here is something that is said in chapter 1 that I thought was quite powerful, and I will read it for you. First, I'll show you the text, and then if you want, you can pause the video, read it, and digest it for yourself. Okay. So let me read it for you in the way that I received it when I read it. It says, forgiveness always involves the moral side of life. It involves our sense of right and wrong, of fairness and justice. It also involves our sense of love, compassion, and mercy. When someone violates us with a seemingly unforgivable act, at least some of these values have been violated. So whenever you feel betrayed, whenever you feel hurt, try to reflect. Is there something that you value? What is the thing that you value that makes you angry or hurt that the person or someone did whatsoever they did to hurt your feelings? And that will tell you a little bit more about yourself and also give some directions as to how to deal with unforgiveness or how to forgive. And that takes us to chapter 2, which is where I am now. So maybe later on I'll have to do another video. But for now, chapter 2 is about myths and truths about forgiveness. And actually, this was quite an interesting read for me because I realized I also believed some myths about forgiveness. And myths are just things that are not true, but people believe them anyway without much evidence. All right. And one of them was that I should forgive quickly and completely. And so we always get frustrated maybe with ourselves when we don't see ourselves forgiving quickly, or we're still angry after 2 weeks, 1 month, sometimes even many years. And even friends, relatives, members of the church, Christians who think we should have forgiven a long time ago hold us to this myth. And that creates problems in our relationships sometimes. But here is what this writer reminds us. He says true forgiveness is an intentional process of healing that cannot be rushed. And this particular section of the book reminds me that everything about the heart requires some time for transformation. But when we have been violated or hurt, we have lost something. And when we lose something, a loved one or something precious, we need to allow time for grieving. And it should never be rushed. So that was quite an impactful section of the book for me. Actually, there was also a caution, a guideline that I'm going to really take away for myself. All right. Here, it says, when someone hurts us deeply, we need to take some time to forgive. Why is that? Well, first of all, we should make the decision to forgive, but take the time to work through the process, because it's neither quick nor easy. Now, if we rush it through and quickly say to the person, I'm over this thing that really deeply hurt us, we're actually denying ourselves, denying the truth that this thing mattered to us, that the behavior really deeply hurt. And we're also communicating to the other person that you can do it again. It's nothing. So this is where I've stopped. I've read a few pages beyond that, but I'm still in this second chapter. But I stop there for now and just say a word of encouragement. You know, I read the Bible, but I also read books about biblical teachings by other authors. And so if you're interested in learning some very direct and practical strategies fairly quickly about forgiving, this is a good book for you. God bless you.